Big changes could be coming to Canada's Supreme Court selection process. As part of a new process, former Prime Minister Kim Campbell will chair a new advisory board to recommend candidates for the country's highest court. The board will have 7 members, with 4 positions designated by legal societies. The remaining 3 will go to prominent Canadians appointed by the Justice Minister. The change was outlined this morning through a letter to the Globe and Mail from Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. In it, he says the new process will set a higher standard for accountability. And for more on what these changes could mean, I am now joined by legal analyst Steven Skurka. Thank you for joining us today, sir.
Hello, Anita.
How significant will these changes be, you think?
Look, it's not going to satisfy everyone, because there'll be people who say, well, why can't we have the open hearings that they have in the United States where we actually have the candidate questions with intrusive questions? But I think this is a huge step forward, because as the Prime Minister described, it really was a secretive backroom process before. Now you don't have members of Parliament doing this screening, which ultimately led to a rubber stamp process of a Prime Minister's choice. Here you have 7 distinguished members of both the legal community and the general community together, providing a consensus and coming out with 3 to 5 recommendations. Nonpartisan, independent. I think it lends itself to real transparency and accountability.
And are we seeing an example of that right off the bat, choosing Kim Campbell to head this up?
Right. I mean, that's a remarkable appointment.
Indeed.
Former Justice Minister for the Conservatives in the Conservative government, former Prime Minister. I mean, that sends a huge message. But I also think the fact is that it's not members of Parliament who are going to be involved in the screening process. I think that's the most fundamental change now. You have these lawyers, retired judge, members of the community sitting back, dealing with people who put their names forward. Another significant change, functionally bilingual from across the country, and coming up with a pool of qualified, eminent candidates for Prime Minister Trudeau to select.
Tell us a little bit about the process. Will that now speed up as a result of these changes?
It will certainly speed up. In fact, we actually have a timetable. We know from what's being described already by the Prime Minister, we have the retirement of Justice Cromwell, the sitting justice, as of September 1st. By late September, the 7-person advisory board will come forward with a recommendation. And sometime during the first term, between October and December of this year, we will have a justice of the Supreme Court to replace Justice Cromwell.
Off the top, you talked a little bit about accountability. Now, the government promises to hold a question and answer period with respect to MPs being able to access the justices. What do you think about that?
I think that's just optics. It's like a meet and greet, asking them about their criteria for their job. There won't be questions about, how would you deal with an issue of right to life if that came before you, because you would get a polite, I can't say that, that's part of my judicial function. I really don't think that amounts to anything substantive. It's just good theater.
But overall, this whole process, a good step in the right direction?
A huge step, an important step in the right direction. Maybe not a home run, but we got to third base.
We got to third base. All right. Well, it sounds very interesting, and let's see where it goes from there. It's very interesting that you do the comparison between Canada and the United States. Very quickly, your thoughts on the U.S. system?
Well,
right now?
I mean, the United States produced Clarence Thomas. I can tell you, we have a judge who we'd even compare. I mean, we have a great court right now. Let's just say that, So it hasn't been a great vetting process. It's ideological, sharply political, divisive. Not a good system.
And now more than ever, right? With that one vacant seat. Oh my goodness.
Yes, I would just like to see who President Trump would nominate.
All right, we'll be looking at that man of the hour in just a few moments. He's going to be speaking live in Virginia. Legal analyst Steve Skurka, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Anita.